Welcome back, people. I am Adorai, God of the Games. Tonight's D&D tale is The Land Chooses Its Heroes, Chapter 3, Part 9, New Friends. Kip was a gracious host, and the gnomes of Marylou prepared a feast for all the guests. None of the party was disappointed they made a stop here, even though Kip didn't quite know what was going on himself. Even though he had the most knowledge of the faceless god, he himself was nearly in the dark as they were. For the most part, he had stopped seeking and had just accepted that he may never know, though that didn't stop him from encouraging and helping others along who hadn't come to his conclusions.
I got the trees from Sparrow. They didn't want to give them to me at first, but I had to use my star power, and then they didn't mind giving me a few of their magic trees, said Kip.
So these trees are magic? Said Elunei.
Of course, you didn't think that trees just grew in the buildings like that all by themselves, he went on.
I figured it was due to the wild magic of the Chaos Elves or tech from Junction, said the gnarled man Krieger.
Nah, those elves at Sparrow aren't all Chaos Elves. They do have ways of naturally moving the trees to grow in a way they choose. But they put a little twist on it to get it to grow how they want it to. And Junction? Don't get me started on Junction, said Kip.
You've been to Junction? Questioned Elunei.
Yeah, a few times. Thing about them is they are very picky about their tech and what they let get out to the rest of the world. I have quite a lot of theories on what that place is, but if I bore you with it, you'll be here all week and miss your window to explore the new valve.
Kip nibbled on a piece of chicken and gulped a mug of ale. They all sat around a long and low rectangular wooden table along with many other tables of gnomes. The dining area was placed outside in the open air and along with lit paper lanterns. Little fireflies blinked out little ambient flickers of neon light.
So, I didn't get to ask all you what your theories were on the faceless god. It's only been me yapping away, Kip said, waiting for anyone other than him to take the floor.
Krieger was first to speak up. I don't follow the faceless god so much as I'm a student of wild magic. In all my years of study, it seems that when you study wild magic, you also chase the tail of the faceless god.
Interesting. I've always thought that too, but in my case, I've always thought the faceless god chased the tail of magic, said Ebo.
I don't tend to say this often, but I suppose in this case it makes sense, but perhaps we're both right. I find that of all the gods that exist, the faceless god feels the truest to me. It is above petty squabbles. It is unknowable, and unlike most gods, it moves in mysterious ways, said Krieger.
What about you?
Kip asked Canydel, who was content to stay out of the conversation altogether. Canydel put his mug down and carefully thought, not necessarily why he chased the faceless god, but how much he would choose to divulge. When he was younger, his primary motivation was to find the source of his power. He at one point, when he was a boy, been able to create things on a massive, even mind-boggling level, but as he aged, he began to limit himself, and the most he could manage was shades of himself. After he lost most of his last adventuring group, and he himself was brought back for no clear reason, this was what he was interested in. This was why he cared to know the faceless god. He wanted to know what made him so special he was worth saving. I've always been fascinated with the faceless god ever since I was a child. I was given powers at birth, so I just always wanted to know why. Canydel explained. It's not an uncommon occurrence. Most children born in or near a valve may develop abilities, said Krieger. Ebo stepped over Canydel and spoke, clearly more excited to talk about his powers than he was.
That's true, but he didn't get a few measly cantrips. He got the power to create things out of thin air.
Is this true? Krieger asked.
Oh, I really want to see this, Kip said eagerly.
Canydel smiled, but was getting nervous after being put on the spot. Unfortunately, when I grew up, my abilities diminished, said Canydel. But you mean to tell me you have the power of what? Making? Krieger said with a measure of excitement. Yes, Canydel stated clearly. And do you see this as a fluke of magic or a gift of the faceless god? Asked Krieger. Canydel thought once again, and once again it wasn't to assess his thoughts, but to assess how much he was willing to tell. I have at different points in my life thought it to be different things. When I was younger, I thought I was special and the faceless god chose me. And now? Krieger said with growing interest. And now, I don't know if anyone is special. Maybe it was just something that happened at random. Technically speaking, everything happens at random. Your birth, your personality, your friends. If one piece of the puzzle was shifted, then you may have went down a completely different path. Now, if you attribute all these random coincidences to God, then that would denote you are nothing but movable pieces on a cosmic chessboard. And if you are movable pieces, that means you are part of their plan. And if you are part of their plan, why is it they want what they want? I find that if you keep asking questions, you'll find more questions. It's easier to cut out the concept of divine intervention and fate and believe in the chaos itself, said Krieger.
I don't know which concept I like better, fate or no fate. The way you present it, both options sound sort of like a downer,
said Kip. I do apologize, said Krieger. I'm in my head so much I forget sometimes these theories hit a sour note. I mean to investigate the new valve that opened the same as you. Would it be too much to ask that I venture forth with you? Krieger asked.
Ebo was all ready to say yes, but he looked to the rest of the group to test the temperature.
Canydel nodded slowly in agreement, but Arkin squinted his eyes suspiciously.
Ebo knew it was his way. No one ever got in with him without going through a crucible of trust. As far as Ebo was concerned, he liked Elunei and he was still putting her through it. After a moment of intense staring and contemplation, Arkin shrugged in a whatever sort of way. The group collectively knew that was about as much acceptance as they'd get out of him, so that counted as Arkin's version of yes. After a night's sleep, the group was ready to depart. Kip sent them off at the edge of Marylu. They needed to travel approximately 100 miles in a southerly direction towards Central Temperus. I would join you guys, but I have things I need to do around here, and I have all the answers I need about the Faceless God for now. Maybe one day I'll get back on the road and seek, but I'm not there yet. Good luck, said Kip to the assembled group.
Thank you, Mr. Crackling. You've been a gracious host, and if we find any new insights, we'll bring them to you, said Canydel.
I'll hold you to it, Kip said with a smile. In a short amount of time, Marylu went away, and all traces that there was a settlement was subsumed by the foliage. The party trekked for a day. They decided to pass through the Black Lake swamps rather than take a 2-day detour around it. The trek would be uncomfortable, but doable. After dawn of the next day, as the group was breaking camp, Arkin spoke to the newcomer, Krieger.
So, Krieger, you say you're a wild mage? Asked Arkin. Yes, I am. And you worship the magic. I don't know if worship is the correct term. I study it. I am fascinated by it.
How did you get all those scars? Arkin asked while turning to him.
Krieger smiled as if the thought of it brought back fond memories. These were the price I paid for believing magic was something that could be tamed.
While Arkin didn't understand that answer completely, he was satisfied enough with it to not ask a follow-up question.
Did you have other people in a group with you? Arkin asked. No, Krieger said. Then those aren't people you know that have been shadowing us ever since we left Marylu? Arkin questioned. No, I wouldn't know them if it were. Oh, it is. People have been shadowing us. I wouldn't have bothered to mention it, but they set up camp when we set up camp, and now they're breaking camp when we are, said Arkin.
I noticed it too, said Elunei.
Sure you did, Arkin said suspiciously. Should we double back and see if that's the case? Asked Canydel.
Maybe they're just going the same general direction as us and we're making more out of it than we need to,
said Ebo. Nah, there are too many coincidences for them to have noble intentions, Arkin said.
Then we strike them now, added Elunei.
Arkin nodded as if she finally began speaking the language he knew. No, that's never been what we've been about. I don't think we should start doing it now. Canydel spoke. Though there wasn't a group leader per se, it was widely established that Canydel usually was who everyone used to listen to when there were big decisions, and even though this was more or less a new group, that sentiment largely remained the same. Me and the girl will keep an eye on them, and if they step out of line, we'll be striking first, Arkin said.
They must be seekers as well,
Ebo theorized.
Them being so close to Mary Lou, maybe they were looking to speak with Kip.
And if they were too suspicious for Kip, what's that tell you about them? Arkin added.
Wouldn't you have common ground with those guys if they were seekers?
Asked Elunei. The group shared in a hearty laugh, even Krieger's gnarled lips twisted into a smile. I don't mean to laugh in your face, but just because you seek doesn't make you a paragon of virtue. Seekers are just as likely to slit your throat in the dark than they are to sit and discuss philosophy. The faceless god is a god who grants power to anyone just or unjust. Think of the type of power you could amass if you were unscrupulous, at least in theory, because no one knows why the Nameless does or doesn't do anything. Say it, Canydel. Me and the kid are gonna slip around, Arkin explained.
You know, I look young to you, but rest assured I'm nearly 50 years old, said Elunei. And yet you're still a rookie.
The gunslinger came back.